Hello traders! Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Yaroslav Birchenko. I am a market analyst at Olymp and today we are going to talk about an edge that some of you may have overlooked, the time edge. We're going to talk about what time of day is it good to trade, what time of day is it not so good to trade, and why. I will give you a few tools how you can monitor where the action is and what time of day it is and what kind of markets are open. And also we will talk about how you guys can find a time suitable for your trading style, as that also comes in and factors into the global picture of things. So very happy to see all of you guys in chat, all of my good friends that come very often like Tinker, Muhammad Tariq. Welcome you guys, very good to see you as well. And let's get started. So on my screen I have a few assets that trade in different times of the world. To be precise, these are the indices, and actually if you click on the fixed time trade platform, there's a lot more that you have. So the Asia Composite Index is an index comprised of the Asiatic economic region. So we have the likes of China, we have the likes of Japan, we have the likes of Singapore, Indonesia. These countries are all part of the Asia Composite Index. And we have the Hang Seng Index, which is all the way in China. It's the Hong Kong Index. And then we have the likes of the Nikkei 225, which is the Japanese index. And then we have the European indexes like the DAX, the CAC 40, Euro Stoxx 50, and the US indexes, the S&P 500, and then the NASDAQ. So that's basically three major time zones that trade in different parts of the day. When the Asia Composite Index is very volatile and when it's moving is a totally different time from the US session. Now, it doesn't mean that these assets stop trading altogether because, of course, U.S. traders, they trade sometimes during the Chinese session or Japanese session and also during the European session. But the stock markets, the markets themselves that open, during working hours, they don't trade. Japan has their own stock market that is closed by the time the U.S. stock market opens. But the European session, the European trading session, when the euro trades most actively and when the European stock market is open, it overlaps with the US session. So we're going to have a look at that today. You guys, if you have any questions, I remember Muhammad Tariq, you had a question in the comment section that you left below. Go ahead and shoot that into chat and I will answer it as the webinar goes on. So the first tool that I want to give you, now that we have an understanding that there's a whole big world out there with a working hours that traders work during those hours and they make active investments and they make active trades, and when those markets close, then they stop working. That's the end of their workday. So it's up to you as a trader to pick your own working hours, because obviously we can't all work 24/7. Even though the forex market works 24/7, but the opportunity for you to get the most gains, they happen in a very predetermined period of time. So the first thing I want to show you guys is a map of the world, and I'm going to send this to you guys in chat. I'm going to send the forex version of it. Here you guys go. By the way, thank you very much, Mohammed Sahid Sahmal, for asking how I am. I'm very good. Thank you for coming to the webinar. If this is your first day, go ahead and put a plus in chat. In fact, all of you guys, if this is your first time coming to an Olymp Trade webinar, please put a plus in chat, and that way I'll know how thoroughly I should explain some of the vocabulary that I use. All right, so here in front of you, let's go ahead and zoom this in a little bit, is a map of the world. Here we have the Asia region. Here we have the European region, and then here we have the US region and Latin America. As you guys can see, if you use this tool that I sent to you guys in chat, we actually have times and you will see which stock markets are open. These are actual stock markets that are open in those cities. Here we have the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange, Toronto Stock Exchange, the Moscow Exchange. As you guys can see, we are in the working hours of the Moscow Stock Exchange. Zurich, London, Paris, Johannesburg, and Frankfurt. So all of these stock markets, all of these market professionals are actively at their computers, actively at their desk, making orders, buying and selling. Hey, you guys, thank you for putting your pluses in chat. I see that we have quite a few beginners. It's good to have you guys with us. You are on the right path. It's a very interesting subject that you're learning, and also a very, very interesting and rewarding job. All right. So this tool will help you visually see what the stock market is that's open, and also what time it is. Because if you notice when the ruble trades, and here we have the ruble on the FTT platform in the currency section. I guess we got rid of the ruble. Well, you can see for yourself, like the Swiss franc in Frankfurt, we have midday. So it's 12:54 in Frankfurt right now, and you can actually click the refresh button, and you'll see it's 13:08. But you can see when, and don't pay attention that it says forex trading, because besides forex trading, we have the stock market open as well. So it's midday. It's actually lunch right now in Frankfurt. So if you're trading the Swiss franc, you can have an understanding that somewhere around this time, people are going on their lunch break. So if you're looking for a major move to happen, by the way, let me tell you what a trader's day looks like. I used to work in the pit in Moscow, in the Moscow Stock Exchange, and oh, I sent it in chat, by the way. So that's bro, which website is this? Silochana Devi. You can check in the history of the chat, and I will. I sent a link to this website. In the pit, basically, a trader comes to work really early. I would wake up at 6 a.m. By 8 a.m., I was already on the floor. I've done my homework. I've read the financial news that happened in the States overnight, and I came to the trading floor prepared. 9 a.m., pre-market trading starts. 10 a.m., the market opens, and we have active impulses all across the board. You can already see which assets have grown 1, 2, 3, 5, 10% in the first hour, and you can see which assets are doing poorly, which oil and gas companies are falling, or which precious metal company is growing because the price of oil is growing. So the first hour is the holy hour. This is where I turn my phone off. I don't speak to anybody. I don't do anything else but trade. The first hour is done and the volatility falls. We have a huge fall in volatility, but it continues. It's like a slow grind up until around 12:30. So the first hour opens 10 to 11, major action across the board. So when it's 10 a.m. in Moscow, you have a lot of action in the stock market of the Moscow Stock Exchange. And then throughout up until 1 p.m., it kind of slowly fizzles like this. After 1 to 2, 1 to 2:30, no action whatsoever. The market is dead. It's like, where did everything go? Where did all the people go? People are on lunch, and it happens to everybody. Of course, there's somebody that will stay for that hour to monitor the markets, but they will then be switched by the person who came back from lunch. So that's why the period between 1 and 2:30 to 3 p.m., no action, no trades, sideways action, and you can really get caught out and lose some trades despite opening into the direction of the trend. So after that, we come back in, there's a little bit of quiet time, and then follow-up action. If it's like a market move up and then a stall, then we have a little bit of a correction, or a little bit of a continuation move. And then the final action period is at the end of the day. So come close to 6 p.m., we have the end of the market. We have people closing their positions. And if you have a buy position, or a lot of buy positions, and then a lot of people close those buy positions, how do you close a buy position, by the way? Does anybody know the technical details of how a buy position is closed? I'll let you guys know just so that we don't stall the webinar up a little bit. You close with a sell position. You sell all of the assets that you had bought previously. Any currency pairs you bought, you then sell them. Any stock that you bought, you then sell it. So that selling movement then thumps the price back down. That's why when you look at the price of an index, it moves really weird. We have like an up move, like a gap up higher, and then all day it kind of swoops down or close to the end of the day. And same thing on Fridays, guys. By the way, Friday is also that cutoff period. Anybody who had long-term positions is looking to get out of them because 2 days of risk is just too much. Okay, so that the way that the normal day of a trader looks like in the stock exchange is likely to be the same all over the world. We're likely to have the same picture with traders in the United States and with traders in India and with traders in Japan. Everybody has the same day. You get to work early, you watch the first hour of trading, and then you kind of diddle-daddle the rest of the day. At the end of the day, you try to capture any other move that may be in the market, and then you close your positions at the end of the day. All the same. So knowing that, watch this map. Watch what currency pertains to what country and be ready to trade during the opening hours and then after lunch as well. Now, how else can we see what is a good time to trade? Say you wake up in the morning, you rub your eyes and you slap your hands together and say, I'm ready. I'm ready to get this show on the road. You got to open up the market 24-hour clock. I'm going to send this link to you guys as well in chat. And you can see that right now, in the time that we're at right now, we have the London Stock Exchange, the Zurich Stock Exchange, the Frankfurt, Moscow Stock Exchange, and Johannesburg. Just like we had here, this puts everything together. And you can see how much time we have left until the end of the trading session. Now, there's one more really key thing that I wanted to show you guys to illustrate by using this market clock. Do you guys see right here at the end of the day, the last 2 hours, in London and the last 2 hours in Zurich are overlapped by trading in Sao Paulo, in Chicago, in Toronto, and in New York. So for those of you that are looking for the best time, remember I told you that at the end of the day, the action rises, and at the start of the day, the action rises. Well, right here, when it's the end of the European session and the start of the US session, that is the place where we have the largest volatility in the day. So if you want to trade if you only want to work for 1 to 2 hours a day and then be free with the rest of the day to live out your life as you please, come trade during this time. Use this tool that I gave you to gauge how much more time is left in the volatility of the British pound. How much more volatility is left in the Swiss franc. Now, this doesn't mean that those assets stop moving completely, but what it does mean is that the expected volatility, the expected intensity of the market move happens during those periods of time. And another thing I wanted to show you guys, when there is no action, when we pass midnight and get into the 0, 1, and 2 hours of the day. Why is this important? Because some traders, they get home from work and they think that, I'm going to stay up a little bit later and trade a little bit longer. Well, if you're staying up late and you're trading in this period of the world time clock, you're probably missing out on 99% of all the action in the world. You're probably sitting in the most stale and most flat market that is possible in all of the available options. This is important that you gauge when you should be waking up and when you should be starting your work. Like I said, the best time to trade for the maximum volatility is right here. Now keep in mind that these are two different forces. It may be that European traders are pushing the euro down and the US traders come online and they're pushing the US dollar down. And we have the euro rise and continue to rise. These dynamics are important for traders to understand. If you're just beginning your journey as a trader, you need to watch the world time clock and pick the most strategically available times to you to trade. As you can see, the change from the European session and the Asia session into the European session is also overlapping. So you have two times in the day where several market forces are battling and the price jumps up in different directions. And you have market patterns that play themselves out, and you can catch these moves by just being there in the right place at the right time. If I could convey anything to you guys over the course of this webinar, is it pays to be in the right place and at the right time. All right, so let's get down to the platform. We are in the middle of the European session. We are in the middle of the Russian session. Let's see what kind of interesting positions we can open by trading some of the European indexes. I'm going to spend a few minutes with you guys in chat to answer any of your guys' question, and then I will open some live trades with you guys today. So Muhammad Tariq is saying, thanks Yaroslav. My question, what is the best oscillator, indicator, or strategy that spots the start of a trend? Part of my answer was how to identify the top and bottom of a channel. Okay, so I answered for you what is the best oscillator that helps you to indicate the start of a trend. As you can see, it is the CCI, or as I answered your question before, it's the CCI. It gives you the best reading on an impulse. Now, it's not necessarily the start of a trend. The best way to realize the start of the trend is, of course, candlestick analysis. It'll show you when we break a level and when we continue a level. But so here we have actually, this is a great example. On the 1 hour chart, we have a bullish trend forming. And how do I know that? Well, I can see that we have higher highs and higher lows, but what do I see in my mind? Let me go ahead and cancel this Bollinger Band so you guys can see it a little bit better. How do you draw a channel or a trend line so that you can see where the best place to buy is, and when we break that level, that it's the end of that trend? Well, that's what we use channels and trend lines for. So here, if you click the indicator button and then drop down to trend line, this is probably this is the most clicked tool that I use in the platform. So I click on this button more than anything. So the channel is up, you guys, the initial thing that I said, higher highs and higher lows. So we can just outline that. Here are our higher lows. That's one trend line. And then you can kind of draw the same thing over the top of these. Now, the reason I don't use this one line is because it is a, how do you say it, like a force majeure, or like, you know, it's a pinprick. It's a bull trap. It's a bull trap. After this move, we need to have some sort of correction, right? We reached the top of the channel. We need to have some sort of correction. All of these traders that got in on this hype, they got knocked out. They got trapped and then stopped out. And then the market changed direction and came back down. So when we see something like this on the 1 hour graph, what do you guys want to do? I mean, this is pretty simple. I don't want to go through waste too much time. You want to buy from the bottom and you want to sell on the top. Why do we want to buy from the bottom? Because when we buy somewhere around here, our stop loss, this is the most important thing, you guys, our stop loss is going to be right here. So if we break this trend line right here and we go lower, then we want to be out of the position. So that's very simply and quickly explaining to you how to draw trend lines and how to analyze the market move. What is the best time on currency? This is a question from Joe Nash. It depends what currency you're trading, my friend. If you're trading the European currencies, the Swiss franc, the Norwegian krona, the euro, then right now is the best time. Right now is the best time. The Europeans have the market. So if we have a look at the euro dollar, we'll see that the market move is predominantly one-sided. It's one-sided. Do you know why? Because there's one force that is guiding a one kind of single market. You better believe when this area hits, when it's going to be the end of the European session and the start of the US session, what is most likely going to happen, you guys? We're most likely going to have a market correction that is going to take the market down to this level. To make sure that I'm not just speaking out of, out of thin air, let's find that same place on the graph. So here we have the downtrend was happening 14, 15, 16, 17, and then we have some volatility. You see when the US session opens, we have major volatility. Let's have a look in another example. So here's another example, 14, 15, 16, US session opens, and then instead of going higher, we start going lower. And this happens, or this goes on until the end of the US session, until the end of the Asia session, and then look at this. Again, come the European session, 12 a.m. or 11 a.m. is when the European session opens officially. 11 a.m., next candle, we have a rise. We have a change in the direction, and the Europeans take back their market. That's what we have on the graph, and that's how time influences the different assets that are traded. So right now, we have grown almost to the end of the European session. We're coming close. We're in the middle of it. And remember, I told you what happens in the middle. We go flat. In the middle of the day, traders go on their lunch. This is what lunch trading looks like. We have the initial impulse at 11. Remember, I told you guys, in the morning, when the market opens, we have a major impulse. That's what happened. The first hour of trading brought the biggest volatility. So for those of you that are looking for the best time to trade on currency, it's the first opening hour of the stock market in that country that the currency is traded. Write this down, guys. It's important. It might make you money later on. So let's continue on with your questions. Silochana Devi, please go ahead and look through the live chat. Make sure that you have live chat enabled and not top chat. There's like an option where you can see only the top comments. Make sure that you see all the comments. It's very important. That way you have the links that I shared with them. And you can also find them at the top of the, you can rewind the video and find it at the top of the browser window. So Rahul is saying, hi, could we find a trend reversal using the trend line? Absolutely, absolutely. So if we go back to the CAC 40, so let's imagine that we only have one trend line. So we only have this trend line. He's asking, how do you find a trend reversal using the trend line? Well, right now the trend is up, right? It's a bullish trend. And you can even cut a little bit off of these guys. So this is what a trend line would be like. Now remember that drawing a trend line, drawing in general, is not a science. It's more of an art, right? It's an art. It's what your experience and the market tells you. Again, sometimes I do cut off the tails as a false flag for the market that I'm trading. Now, stocks especially have a lot of bull traps. Currencies, they do have those sharp spikes, but they're a little bit more, much more algorithms trade on the forex market, and that's why we have that kind of cyclical wave-like patterns is due to the participants that are trading. You know, a lot of them are robots and not people. They're programmed by people, but still they're done automatically. They're done mechanically. So how do we spot a trend reversal? On the hourly graph, if price action breaks this level and doesn't break it like this, but breaks it like, will be a good example, like so. Let me show you. So here's a good example of a trend reversal. Here you can see we're in a prolonged downtrend. Actually, the downtrend started from here. This was a little bit of a false breakout, and then we have more of this movement out. You can see that this candle broke out, and then this candle is the confirmation that we're done moving down. Not only did we break out, so it's not a quick breakout like this, and then we shoot back up. It's a breakout that on the hourly graph draws an entire candle outside of the range of our trend line. That is an indication that the trend has changed. So Dr. Manajit Paul is asking from India, what time is good for trading? Again, your time zone, you would need to verify it with the world clock that I showed you, and then that way you can find out what the best time to trade is for yourself. Hello, Mr. Wong TV. Hello, I'm watching you. Sorry, what's the topic today? Please answer. Thank you. Well, you can look at it in the title of the video. 24/7 Trading, World Times Explained. Easy question. I'm just going through all of your questions. If I see an interesting question, I will answer it. Rupam Singh, can you draw the Fibonacci level today? Sure can. I promised that I would draw it last time. Let's go ahead and open a different market. EuroCAD, for example. So the Fibonacci retracement is a very powerful tool. It works just like any other indicator. When you place it on a graph that is, the bigger the graph is, the more likely you are going to get a good result. Now, what I wanted to show you guys here is, so this is a perfect example of where I would use the Fibonacci level. So you guys see here that we broke through all of the past previous levels that would have acted as our take profit. How do we find our take profit? Actually, a better example, Bitcoin. How do we find a take profit when we have no idea what the possible high could be? Fibonacci retracement. I'm going to teach you a secret way on how to use it. So a lot of people use it as such. They place the retracement like this from the top of the impulse, from the start of the impulse, excuse me. Let's get rid of this trend line. From the start of the impulse, which would be right here, to the top of the impulse to measure how deep the correction would be, and the correction usually goes to 38.2, between 38.2 and 61.8 or 0.618. And I'm talking in percentages. The Fibonacci retracement, it goes from 0 to 100%. So this is 16%, this is 23%, 38%, and so on. As we can see, the price dropped down to 38.2. Yes, we did have that big wick there, but this was the level that acted as support. So this is one way of drawing the Fibonacci retracement and one use for it. The other use was what I showed you before. What if we put it in the opposite way? What if we put the top here, one top to the next? Excuse me, actually, it goes still from impulse to impulse. So what if we put it from the bottom to measure the top of the impulse that it was at? When we measure it this way, the yellow lines give us the possible take profit up ahead. Remember I told you that 38.2 was the main level? Well, guess what? The main level acts as a level of support and resistance right down here. So even before we had the tail end of the impulse going into the new year, if we measured the January to all of January, the move to January until it bottomed out, drawing the Fibonacci level here would have given us the first target level right here, 61.8, and then the next level for the next take profit at 23.6%. This is the next 100. This is 100. This is 200. This is 300. We are up to our third take profit from only one level. Practice this. Again, drawing a Fibonacci retracement is an art. It's not a science. But it goes from impulse to impulse, from swing high to swing low. That's where you draw your tops and bottoms. And if you draw it, if we in an uptrend where we have no idea what the possible take profit will be, 90% of the time, price will go to the major Fibonacci levels before it starts to retrace. Excuse me. This is actually a secret weapon that I rarely pull out during the webinars, but I often use when I write forecasts for the different assets that are traded on the platform. So a little bit of an extra special surprise for those of you guys that come to these webinars. There you go. Let me go ahead and continue answering your questions, and I do want to look for some trades. Drop down to the 1 hour graph. Let's see what Bitcoin is doing. Again, looking at the breakout that is happening right now. We are above the 50 WMA. We are above or getting too close to above. Actually, we're already above the 100 WMA, and this is an equilateral triangle. Our MACD is above the 0 line, so this is an indication that we are going higher. And the CCI is very close to breaking out. Now, Mohammed Tariq, I told you that this is the best indicator to watch for a impulse. And that's what we want. We want an impulse, and as soon as we see it, the CCI indicator will show us, we take the trade. So Bitcoin for sure is a buy in the short term. I want to make sure that it gives me that impulse. So this is kind of the equilateral triangle that we are in right now. And to be honest with you, this looks like a break. This right here is the first candle. Remember on the example of the dollar CAD or euro dollar, where I showed you guys the way that a breakout works and when you want to buy? This is that one candle like, I'm not quite sure. The next candle is going to be green. So somewhere between in between the next candle is where you guys want to make that buy. Now, if you're trading FTT on the Olymp trade platform, remember that the maximum you have is 23 hours. So if you want to catch a long-term move on Bitcoin, make sure to use the forex platform. I'm going to go ahead and open up and let's drop down to the 5-minute chart. Let's see if I can catch some short-term moves. So I don't like this, guys. Have a look. We're going up higher here, but the histogram is dropping lower and the CCI is dropping lower. So not really a trade I want to take right now. You guys are really going hard in chat and trying to request you to explain different multipliers. Oh yeah, I remember your Christian Jayashri. How it works with the same amount of stop loss. Somehow get confused when it pops more amount to be added while stop loss is placed. Thanks. Yeah, I got your question. So multiplier basically takes any of your amount and multiplies it. So instead of having a $70 trade, we have a $700 trade, despite that being my whole account size, but I only use the amount. The multiplier is available only on the forex platform, and it is basically leverage that the brokerage gives you. We are like a bank, and we give you more leverage to trade, because sometimes currencies, they move very, very little. Sometimes currencies move less than 1% a day. And so how are you supposed to make money if nothing happens, if no moves happens? Well, that's why leverage comes in. But it's a double-edged sword. You guys, as much as you gain, if you're wrong in the market, then it's also at how much you lose. So always, always, you want to make sure that you control your multiplier. I never recommend using the 500 multiplier. Always stick to 100 and 200. 50 is a little bit too low when you're trading currency and you have a small account like I'm practicing with right now. You want to keep it somewhere between 100. 100 if the technicals are there, but the say the strength of the signal is a little bit lower. 200 is if you have solid trade signals, you waited for the trade setup, and it's textbook, and it has a strong impulse in the direction of your trade. That's when you can afford to have, and you have a short stop loss. Your stop loss is really close to the level that you enter. That's when you want to go ahead and open up, or excuse me, not open up. Ooh, this is a good trade, guys. Have a look at this. So I'm quickly going to open up a downtrend. The reason for this being, look at this huge spike down. We come up to a very strong level of, it was previously a level of support. Now it's a level of resistance. And for the Aussie CAD, I've been watching the kind of battle between these two. And we have this really strong market move. It actually may not have been the best trade. But for the short term, for a few minutes with a 100 multiplier, I believe it could be a good trade. So I do like the fact that the CCI is confirming this move down, but I don't like the fact that the MACD crossed over here. So maybe I went a little bit too soon. My stop loss for this trade, to put it on, you go ahead and click on this, drop down the stop loss. My stop loss would be only $5. So the fact that I used a 100 multiplier actually allows me a lot of breathing room. I have a lot of room to make mistakes. And that's why it's important never to use too much of a multiplier, because you'll lose a lot of that stop loss room that you have. So again, if the price action goes above the previous high, I want to be out and I lose only $5. Where do I want to be in? Or where do I want to put my take profit? Somewhere around the bottom of this level right here. All right, let's go ahead and open up a fixed time trade so I can show you guys some cool tricks with that. As with the previous example and the trade here, I'm actually thinking that we could take the opposite side of the trade. As you can see, the global trend is up, right? We obviously want to be trading in the direction of the global trend. And so perhaps the previous trade was not such a good idea. Again, I'm only $5 in the game, so that's not too much of a loss. But obviously, we want to look for buys more than we want to sell. So with the pound dollar as well, we have the same picture. I want to have an indication that we're going to go up higher, and then I want to jump on that trade and go ahead and buy it. Actually, I like the way that this looks. See this candlestick pattern? This is the 30 minutes, so it's reliable. We have a candle down, and then right away, the next candle clears at least half of it, and we are in a global uptrend and severely high uptrend, and we came down almost to the 50 WMA. This also looks like a buy. I do want to have more. See, the candlestick analysis indicates a buy, but our oscillators do not confirm this. Remember when I was telling you that you can use a larger multiplier when all of the details come together? That's what I mean. We have price action confirmed by the oscillators, confirmed by the fundamental analysis that, you know, the Australian government decided to, or excuse me, the Reserve Bank of Australia decided to, say, lower interest rates or to increase quantitative easing, and that will, drop the Australian dollar, or that will rise the Australian dollar if they raise the interest rate, say, for example. That's what I mean by combining different signals from different parts of the market analysis. Let's go see if we can find an actual trade that confirms all of the things that we talked about. So this would be a definite sell in the short term. We had a look at the Aussie CAD on the daily graph. AC Arts has a good question. Is using multiple time frame charts to find a signal for FTT a 5-minute good practice for beginners? Multiple time frames is definitely the way to go. You want to have a look at the daily chart to see where the global trend is. You want to look at the 1-hour chart to see where we are in the day. You know, what kind of market structure within the day that we have. And then you want to drop down to the 5 or 10-minute chart to see when you want to enter, when that candle really shows an impulse. That's what we're trying to catch here, our impulses. Which site we need to check to know when the market is open? They are in chat. Go ahead and please scroll through the chat trigger zone. From Olymp Trade Global, I wrote in the name of Olymp Trade Global the different links that I shared with you guys today. So Mayur Gaikwad, we talked about this, currency and stock from Indian markets. Again, please have patience. It's not something that happens overnight. Trade Like a Pro wants me to do some trades on fixed time trade. That's what I'm looking for right now, guys. If anybody has any good trading ideas for the FTT trade that I'm going to take, go ahead and write it in chat. I would love to hear your, whoa, look at this. What a massive spike. And this is what I mean, guys. Like, you don't have to look too far for good trades. You just have to be there. When this breakout happened, you could have entered in any one of these areas and caught a massive monster trade on a currency that's relatively unpopular. You know, it's not a lot of times that I go to the euro yen to trade, but this would have been a massive gain had I caught that. Ooh, look at this, guys. We have a nice correction here. Give this guy a few more days to play out. Like say if we rise up higher, maybe the 50 WMA comes down here and the price action meets up here. This will be a killer sell. Have a look at this. The British pound is really putting in some strength against the euro, and that's due to the change in dynamics of their trade relations. As you guys know, the Brexit situation has kind of cleared itself out, and the British pound is gaining a lot of strength because they're really reaching out. Well, first of all, they have the vaccine implemented almost countrywide. So the vaccine implementation is really giving strength to their economy, but also the way that they're handling trade negotiations with other countries right now is very, very good, alongside with the U.S. I'm pretty certain Great Britain and the United States are going to be buddy-buddy real soon. You guys watch out for that. How to place a trade forex in crypto coins, sir? You just open up the forex category. You see this little button right here? It actually goes to the right, and there's a few more categories that are hard to find, ETF and crypto. And here you can actually find you can buy Bitcoins, you can buy Ethereum coins, and you can buy Litecoins right here on the Olymp Trade platform. And you don't even have to have an electronic wallet that you can lose the password to. Like my biggest fear is that I get hacked when I traded Bitcoin in 2017, my biggest problem was the electronic wallet, was taking my money out, because the commission was like 40 to 50% of my earnings. And also the electronic wallet asked me to pay a monthly fee just for holding my Bitcoins. What are you, a bank? You're not supposed to ask me for fees. And so using Olymp Trade took a lot of the stress out of my life when I traded crypto. So make sure that you take advantage of this, because a lot of the risks are taken by the brokerage so that your Bitcoins are safe. Does it always go up in the first hour of opening? Abhi Pize is asking me that. No, sir, it does not. The first hour just has the most volatility, and volatility just means the intensity of the move up or the intensity of the move down. Of course, there are days when the market opens and prices fall down because nobody wants to buy. Everybody is selling the assets that they do have. Like a Black Monday or a Black Friday is basically people selling in fear and nobody buying. And yes, the first hour can be both up and down. All I'm saying is that it's usually one-sided. The first hour usually goes in one direction, and there's a lot of money to be made. You basically can work only 1 hour a day. If you catch 20 points of profit with a 100 multiplier and a $500 trade, you know, there's good money to be made there. Good money, and you can live off that. Does the 2-minute time frame better in FX trading? Guys, all of you guys that are trading super short time frames, I don't condone that. Like, have you ever seen me trade on a 1 hour or a 1 minute graph or even a 5-minute graph? No, never. You get bad signals from really small graphs. It's like trying to read a book like this, right? How well can you read the book? How well can you, or looking at a picture, like say you're looking at a Picasso or a Van Gogh, and you're looking at it like this. Yes, you see the details, you see the brush strokes, but do you see the picture for what it is? Do you see the museum or the people around you? No, you do not. And this is trading. You want to have the most amount of information to make a qualified decision. And so you need to see the big picture. That's why I never see, there's no need for me to ever drop down lower. If an impulse happened, I want the candles to be mushed together so I have one big candle so I can make a good decision. Basically, that's the way that I see short time frame traders. Dr. Manajit Paul, that's for you, my friend. Ash K. Takur, thank you, my friend. Thank you guys for your kind words. All right, guys, I'm going to start wrapping up the webinar. Let's see if I can find one more good entry point for you guys. Again, I'm sorry, the time that I have is very constricted. I don't have like all day to talk to you guys, but I do have the comments section below. And let me tell you this. Tomorrow, I'm hosting a webinar about during my webinar tomorrow that I have for you guys, I'm going to be holding a raffle. In order to participate in that raffle and win risk-free trades, All you guys have to do is leave a comment in the comment section below, asking a question or thanking me, or saying whatever you want, and leaving your account number. That way, when I hold the raffle, I will pick randomly out of the comments that you guys leave and hand one of you guys, or actually 3 of you guys, risk-free trades. Very easy deal. All you guys got to do is participate in the raffle by leaving your comment. All right. Let's see what kind of trade we can open here. So let's go ahead and do a test. We're on the 1-minute graph. I want price to give me a buy signal, so I'm obviously looking to buy. And here we're not having that. We're having a deeper correction. Although actually this move showed me a lot. So guys, have a look. When you look at the 1-minute graph, what do you want to see? You obviously want to look at the history. So this is what a correction looks like. It gets crazy before it gets better. Crazy before it gets better. So let's wait for some craziness. I'll try to answer a few more of your questions and see if we can open a buy trade, because I am bullish on the Aussie dollar. Commodities in general, steel, silver, copper, palladium, oil, a lot of commodities that I watch are increasing in price. The demand is picking up across the entire world, and the Australian economy is based on exporting commodities, exporting coal, exporting metals, exporting oil, milk, whatever. That's why as commodities grow, the Australian dollar gets really, really strong. And the same thing with the Canadian dollar. If you guys wonder why it's so strong against the US dollar, well, first of all, the US dollar is really weak and will continue to weaken. It's good for the US economy for the US dollar to fall, just so you guys know. And the Canadian dollar is strong because the commodities around the world are gaining in price. So I'm looking right now for price action to give me a buy signal. But right now what we have in the short term is a sell signal. So a little bit of a difficult, I guess, jungle that we are, or juggling that the graph is doing for us. Again, guys, 346, bro, not in chat. In the comments section below. You guys really need to listen and pay attention to what I'm saying. After the webinar is over, then post your comments in the comments section below. This is called chat. Comments is what goes below the video after it's done, after it's published. All right. Okay, good stuff. I think I got through most of your questions. If I missed one of your questions, go ahead and write it out in chat. So guys, have a look. Price has dropped down to the 100 weighted moving average. WMA stands for weighted moving average. And now we're having our first signal of a correction. Because this webinar is coming to an end, I want to go ahead and actually fixed time trade Aussie yen. Fixed time trade, perfect. We have an 80% rate of return. I want to go ahead and, because we're on the 1-minute graph, I want to go ahead and put it up for 3 minutes. 70 is my amount that I'm in for. And go ahead, put that trade in. So in 3 minutes, we'll see actually my Aussie yen trade. That's the trade we have open right now. We're waiting 3 minutes for it to show me some up move. And Aussie CAD, it could have some more downward momentum. The thing that worries me the most is you see where we opened is kind of a level of support. And if we're not going to go below it, then it's very possible that we're going to continue up higher, because the daily trend is up, and it's severely up, right? After an impulse like this and staying flat like this, the most logical way is up higher, and up much higher. So keep an eye out for the Australian dollar. It is one of those assets that is very, very growth oriented. So let's see. Good stuff. So Rupam Singh, very good question. While we're watching the Aussie yen, I want to go ahead and answer his question. So he asked, what is the impact that we have, that speeches from banks have on currencies? Well, the impact is quite significant. The impact is such that the bank is the official governing body that can impact the currency. It's not the government. Donald Trump doesn't necessarily have a lot of influence over the US dollar, although his tweets have impacted the market in the past. It's more that he has it's more that the Federal Reserve has direct impact, right? The speeches that Jerome Powell, who is the chairman of the Federal Reserve, the speeches that he makes, they have the biggest kind of impact on the currency. They can raise or lower the interest rate. They can buy a lot of the currency, like they actually buy the U.S. currency, or sorry, they print it, they make it, and they buy bonds and give the currency for bonds, for actual assets that then give rates of return. How much more do we have of the trade? 1 minute, 50 seconds left. And they also buy stocks. The Federal Reserve actually can hold the different companies trading on the U.S. stock exchange, and so they're a big influence on the economy as a whole, on the stock market, and on the currency. Now, how does speeches impact it? Well, during a speech, a lot of traders and a lot of algorithms actually that are meant to decipher human speech, they monitor those speeches. When you look at a speech, what kind of information am I looking for? I'm looking for a hint that the monetary policy can change. Does that make sense? So right now, all of the central banks are printing money and lowering interest rates. So congratulations to any of you guys that opened up a trade with me. The trade went through. 56 was our win for this trade. So good job, you guys. You want to listen for a change of rhetoric. So say if before everything was dovish and we're looking to lower the interest rate, all of a sudden they start speaking that the economy is doing really well. Our GDP has grown. Our unemployment rate has dropped. We are at historically good levels. We are going to raise the interest rate. Those words will right away boost the US dollar if Jerome Powell says those words. So those are the key things that we're looking for. Also, another thing you can watch for when you listen to from bank speeches is the risks that are affecting that economy. You can listen to what the major issues are for the economy so that you can then follow those issues when you watch and or read the news. You can say that, oh, that issue is now fixed. Now that is no longer a problem. The currency should grow, or that's a bigger problem now and the currency should fall. I know it's kind of a rough sketch that I'm giving you, but in the time that I have, it's what I got for you. So you guys, that's it for today. I hope you learned something new. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave me a like. It really does a wonderful job for me to know that you guys enjoyed the webinar. And like I said, if you guys want to win some prizes tomorrow for free, all you got to do is leave your comments in the comment section below. I'm going to finish up the webinar, and we are going to finish up for today. Come back tomorrow, you guys. I have an extra special webinar with some new information on how you can gain an additional edge in the market. My name is Yaroslav Birchenko. Thank you guys so much for your time. Together with Olymp Trade, we wish you guys good luck trading out there, and see you guys next time. Peace.